Right. Here we go then. So, Stranger Things has officially ended. The final episode, entitled The Right Side Up, released the other day on Netflix, and just like the rest of Season 5, my god has it been controversial. People absolutely love it, people hate it like the Duffers murdered their entire family in front of them. The episode is so polarizing. And it makes sense. An episode that serves as a climax to 10 years of storytelling for the biggest television show of all time, people were always going to feel very strongly about it one way or another, but this response from the fans has been so overwhelming. I watched this episode a bit later than most because I spent my New Year's leaning over a sick bowl for several hours, but when it came time to watch it, I told myself that I would walk into this finale with a totally open mind, a blank canvas, and let the episode work its magic. And now that I've finished it, did it live up to the hype? Did Stranger Things get the satisfying conclusion that it absolutely deserved? Well, I can officially say with full confidence, kind of. When I finished this episode, I liked it. I really liked it, in fact. I thought it was great. The more I thought about it, though, the more just confused I got. I honestly wanted to immediately sit down and get to work on this script, but I felt so viscerally overwhelmed by this episode, it actually gave me a headache. I had to wait a full day before starting on this video. There are things about this episode that I really like. There are things about this episode that I really don't like, but overall, in the day that has passed since I've watched the finale, I've just kind of felt numb. So this video is just as much for you as it is for me. To culminate this crazy series on my channel, let's talk about Stranger Things one last time and work out once and for all how I really feel about this ending. By the way, please do subscribe to this channel if you're new for reviews of your favorite movies, TV shows, video games, and more. We're trying to hit 100k subs this year, and we've got a long way to go, so any help would be greatly appreciated. So with an episode this side, I figured that it's best to divide it into the good and the bad. So let's start off with stuff that I liked or thought was neat in some capacity. Alright, let's go. The fight with the Mind Flayer / Vecna is pretty fucking awesome. It is way too short, which I will talk about more in a minute, but yeah, the CGI on the Mind Flayer is so cool. You really feel the scale of it, and everything down to the sound design just works. It's a very satisfying final action set piece for the show. Another great moment in the first half was Steve's little fake out death where he gets saved by Jonathan. It's basically this universe's equivalent of Andrew Garfield saving MJ. It's a nice culmination to their little subplot, especially as this save takes place atop the same location where we witnessed their petty feud for the first time in episode 1, and their conversation afterwards is pretty cool too, and shows a lot of growth. It's not the most interesting subplot in the show. It kind of boils down to, who am I kidding? We should let no girl come between us. But the dialogue and acting here is pretty solid. I've always had a soft spot for Jonathan, and I really don't like that the writers continued to give him less and less of a complex personality as the show went on. But even though season 5 didn't come close to bringing him back to his season 1 glory days, I'm happy that we at least get to see a bit more of him this time around, as opposed to season 4 where he just might as well have not been there. I also cannot wait to talk about my absolute MVP, the best character in Stranger Things 5, in my personal opinion, Holly Wheeler. Try telling me a month and a half ago that Holly fucking Wheeler would be the best character in season 5, I would have laughed in your face. Some other characters like, Will is great, Dustin's great, but Holly really surprised me this time round. Especially in the finale, she really shines. Her arc is really compelling. She's just a kid who is so overwhelmed and frightened by her circumstances, as anybody her age would be, but where others would crumble, she rises to the occasion and becomes a leader, just like Mike, Nancy, and Max, who she also seems to take on a lot of personality traits from in the finale. Like, I don't know, even some of her vocal and physical mannerisms just really started to resemble Max, and I thought that was really cool. With Holly, you get these crazy moments where she just squares up to Vecna and whacks him with a fucking crowbar, but then really vulnerable moments where you're reminded that she's really just a kid. Like, she's just a 10-year-old having the worst week imaginable. But she's not only coping with it really well herself, but helping other people to get through it too. And my god, Nell Fisher, what a performance! For a 12/13-year-old, her acting is top tier, and she goes toe-to-toe with every actor that she's on screen with. Fantastic character, fantastic performer. I'm so excited to see where she goes next. Speaking of goated characters, let's talk about him. Let's talk about Delightful Derek. Yup, my two favorite characters this season are the two new ones. I'm not afraid to say it. Nobody expected Derek to be so good in this season, and especially in the finale, he's just great. He wins an arm wrestle with fucking Vecna and then tells him to suck his fat one. And if this was any other character, you'd see people up in arms about it. But because it's Derek, people just accept it. He is the most powerful creature in the multiverse. He is hilarious. I've said it before and I'll say it again, but Jake Connolly is just great. Like, one of the most memorable parts of the finale for me is Derek's wave to Mike in the back of the truck. He just put a smile on my face every time he was on screen and carried a lot of this season on his back. Joyce getting to be the one to behead Vecna and seeing everyone's trauma as she does so is very powerful and really does signify the end of an era. Hearing Will's line of "I just want this to be over" and then immediately cutting to Vecna's head being sliced clean off is fantastic. Absolute cinema. And speaking of Vecna, even though he was a little bit nerfed in this finale, Jamie Campbell-Bower makes this character. Season 5 Vecna would honestly be a bit of an afterthought if not for this man and his generational performance as both Vecna and Henry Creel. The scene of him entering the cave and feeling actual physical anguish from his trauma, and then his scene with Will afterwards, he just nails it. And he also seems like a very nice guy, so I'm happy for him. And yeah, Will's super cool in the finale too, but you've heard me glaze Will enough in these past 2 videos. You don't need to hear me do it again. And this brings me great joy to say, I'm just going to count the whole epilogue as one big positive. Look, is it a very safe ending? Yes. Is it maybe the most predictable ending of all time? Yes. But if you're going to have all of the main cast survive and go with that approach, then I think this makes the most sense. Don't get me wrong, I would have loved to have seen 1 or 2 main character deaths this season just to set the stakes. Nancy and Jonathan. But this epilogue got me rethinking about what it is these characters have already sacrificed. Their formative years. For 5 to 6 years now, the Upside Down has been a constant plague on everybody's lives, breathing down their necks and traumatizing all of them. And after all this time of constant fighting, seeing them all be able to finally run free and flourish in their own right is very satisfying. Max and Lucas getting their happy ending that they've always deserved and finally having their cinema date. Yep, perfect. The best couple in the show. Their chemistry is golden. Sadie and Caleb are both fantastic. 0 notes here. I love them and I'm so happy for them. The teen cast, that's all comprised of 30-year-olds, all going off and living their lives but always carrying a part of each other with them forever. Perfect. Hopper and Joyce getting engaged and finally getting the fuck out of Hawkins now that there's nothing tying them down there. Love it. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Mike, well, you can't really talk about him without talking about Elle, and we'll get to that. Dustin's graduation speech where he does all the things that Eddie dreamed of doing at his own graduation. Oh god, that was beautiful. And then it ends where it all began, in Mike's basement playing D&D and preparing for their journeys ahead. It's just a fantastic use of circular structure, and the fact that Holly, Derek, and their friends are now the next generation of the OG crew is also just a really nice way to tie the bow on this story. This epilogue really felt like something out of a fever dream, and like I'm still processing it now, but amidst all the complaints of the finale that you'll undoubtedly see online, you don't really see anybody talking about this second half, and I think that's for good reason. However, we've had our cute, fluffy part of the video, and now it's time to get into the second half. The stuff that just didn't really work for me, like at all. Okay, so before we get into this, I just wanted to say that this is all my opinion, and Carly is one of the worst and most useless characters I've ever seen in all of television. Yep, we're just getting straight into this. God, Carly fucking sucks as a character. All she does in the whole season is pressure Elle into suicide, use her powers like twice, and then threaten to kill Hopper when he doesn't want his own daughter to die? Fuck you, Carly! As I've said in my previous video, I understand her motive. I understand that she thinks as long as she and Elle are alive, then they're always in danger of being hunted by the military and having their blood, yada, yada, yada. Okay, so can we get some character traits or personality to go along with that plot device, maybe? All she does is just stress out Elle, piss off Hopper, and then die pathetically. Or maybe not, kind of. I don't know. I'll talk about the ending later, but for now, just know that even if this ending is true, she still sucks as a character because she's terrible in every scene prior to this. I don't even want to spend any more breath on Carly, to be honest. I feel so bad for the actor because she got brought back after all these years only to end up being more useless than the first time round, but yeah, what a waste of screen time. Moving on, I know I've already talked about it, but yeah, the final battle is way too short. Considering that this is the big climactic final battle that concludes 10 years of war with Vecna and his forces, the fact that the fight is shorter than Nancy and Jonathan's breakup scene is unreal. Also, yeah, the fact that they beat it so easily without anyone getting injured is just crazy. As I said, I don't mind the safe ending, but someone should have at least got injured here. I mean, for God's sake, look at what they're fighting. It's like Coughing Baby versus Hydrogen Bomb. I know I said that Joyce gets a great moment when she beheads Henry, and that still stands, but wow, she really doesn't do anything else in the finale, or even really in this season. It's just such a jarring contrast to season 1 where Winona Ryder was there main selling point, and they used her to her maximum capabilities. Now she's just here every now and then to either drop a cool one-liner or feel emotional about Will, and never acknowledge her other child, even once. Seriously, it's such a waste. All she says is, Will. Okay, I sound like a wicked witch. That's not her voice. We can beat this, Will. It's not your fault. No, okay, I can't do a Winona Ryder impression. Murray also does absolutely jack shit. He's kind of just the gang's FedEx delivery driver for a while, and then in the finale, he does one cool thing where he blows up a helicopter. Cool. Okay, doesn't really justify having him around so often, but alright. Now we get into the section that I like to call plot hole time. I genuinely tried to think of like a catchy name for this thing for like 10 minutes and I had nothing, so that's actually what's in my script. This is where we run through the many plot holes of the finale because Jesus Lord, there are so many. Firstly, where are the Demogorgons in the Abyss? We are told in the show that this dimension is the homeworld of all the nasty shit that can be found in the Upside Down, and we even see Henry Creel encounter one in season 4. So, where are they? Or the demo bats? The demo dogs? Anything? Well, when asked about this, the Duffer Brothers simply responded, I don't know. They're there somewhere. Fans have literally had to resort to making theories that fit the bill so perfectly that it's crazy that the Duffers didn't think of it themselves. Like, the Mind Flayer had to absorb every Demogorgon in the Abyss to gain enough strength to reach its true form, kind of similar to what it did in season 3. But no, they're just not there because they couldn't figure it out. After the gang makes it back to the magazine and Elle sacrifices herself, the military just let everyone go, despite the fact that Hopper and Nancy literally murdered several military soldiers the day before. No, not even like a few hours ago. And the gang have been working to disrupt the military's operations for the past year now. Dr. K and everyone else are apparently just like, oh, you... What's that? Sorry? That guy back there? Dead on the floor with a wife and family at home? It's fine. Don't worry about him. As well as being pardoned for murder, Hopper is now back in society and the chief of police again, despite the fact that the entire world thinks he is dead after the events of season 3. He's made a specific point to stay hidden since his return to Hawkins, but suddenly he's in society again and nobody seems to be questioning it. When Vecna and the Mind Flayer die, why doesn't Will? He's connected to the Hive Mind. This has been a crucial part of all 5 seasons, and I really thought that it would present a real problem to the gang as they edged closer to actually killing Vecna, but he's fine. When asked about this, the Duffers simply say, oh, well, we don't see Will when the Mind Flayer dies. We just didn't want to focus on that. What? That doesn't even make sense. Anyway, there's probably some more, but that's all I can think of off the top of my head. Look, the Duffers seem like very cool people who are very passionate about their show, and they've done some amazing work over the years, but being so callous about leaving this many plot holes in the finale episodes of the biggest TV show of all time, kind of crazy. Now, I'd love for this video to take a nice turn and we can talk about something positive again, but sadly, it has come time for my most controversial take about the finale, the elephant in the room that I've been avoiding up until this point, 11. Oh my god, here we go. Now, before I get started, please remember that this is simply my opinion and how I personally responded to 11's final arc, so just hear me out before sending bomb threats to my house. I don't hate this as much as I did when I first watched the finale. It's growing on me, and maybe it will continue to do so over time. But a lot of 11's death/non-death still doesn't sit right with me, and I've never felt more conflicted about a character's sacrifice in my life. When I first saw the scene of 11 trapping herself in the Upside Down to die, I thought, well, that's fucking stupid. In my head at the time, I was thinking, well, haven't we just spent the whole finale talking Elle out of killing herself by telling her that despite having lived a life of torture, pain, and being used as a pawn in a cruel game by people who want to control her, she is capable and deserving of a normal life, and she has people around her who love her enough to accept the risk and help make that happen. Someone then pointed out to me in the comment section of my Reacts channel the scene where she talks to Hopper on the roof, where she asks him to trust her to make her own choice, telling him that she's not the same as Sarah, who didn't even have a choice to make. She can assess situations herself, and all she needs is Hopper to empower her to make the right call. Sure, okay, that does apply to the sacrifice scene, and I see that now. In my head at the time, I just thought she was talking about going up to the Abyss and sliming Vecna, but I missed the deeper meaning of that scene. That's my bad. I'm sorry. But even so, I just think it's quite a weak way to end 11's story. I understand that by doing this, she gets to put an end to Dr. K's inhumane experiments and finally eliminate the chance of another Vecna, which is a victory, but in terms of her personal growth, having her be backed into a corner and more or less pressured into dying due to actions of the evil forces around her does kind of, in my opinion, diminish the arc that she's been on since season 1, of learning that she does deserve to live a normal life. Her fate does not have to be determined by these power-hungry freaks looming over her. The Duffers talked about the realism of Eleven being able to live out a happy ending untargeted by the military and how it just never really seemed possible to them, but if the military can forgive the rest of the gang for first-degree murder, I think she'll be just fine. Just end it in a fucking DreamWorks dance number for all I care, alright? I don't mind. I understand that not a lot of people will agree with me on this, and that I'm in the minority, and that's okay. But the scene just doesn't work for me. I'm sorry. I mean, don't get me wrong, Finn Wolfhard and Millie Bobby Brown really do sell it, but thematically, I just don't like what they were going for. But then, at the very end of the episode, the Duffers go back on this decision. Kind of. They show how Elle actually escaped back at the Magazine with the help of Carly, who created an illusion, and then escaped to a far-off land where she finally gets to live a life in peace. This is great. Thematically, it's a way better and more sensible end for Elle's story, and there's still an element of sacrifice in there too, being that she had to leave all of her loved ones, her dad, boyfriends, and everyone who taught her how to be a human. But this also enables her to finally live a life of her own and learn who she truly is. It's honestly a really beautiful way to wrap up her story, and I was really happy that they did this. Until after I watched the episode and found out that apparently this ending is open to interpretation? Fuck that. Yes, I know that the characters themselves are unsure of what Elle's fate was. I get that. But for us to literally get a scene showing us what happened, how Elle survived, and where she is now, and then for the writers to turn around and go, ooh, but we'll never know. Guess you gotta make your mind up. It's like the equivalent of when you're in creative writing class in 3rd grade and you end your story with, and it was all a dream. I just think it's bullshit because it's one of my least favorite tropes in TV when writers make you pick your own ending, because in a lot of cases, including this one, it just reeks of laziness. Like, they clearly just wrote 2 endings, couldn't make up their minds because, again, this finale is so safe, and just went, oh, well, shit, I don't know, have both of them. I don't like it, and to me, Mike's ending should 100% just be the canon one, because we are shown how it happened, and to me personally, it just makes way more sense with Eleven's character arc, but apparently, just like a situationship, the Duffers wanted to keep their options open. Anyway, look, this finale is weird. The internet is still kind of up in arms about it, and it's definitely not how I expected to feel about the finale, but I still don't dislike the episode or anything. I think it's solid, and look, I understand that a lot of longtime fans of the show are just ecstatic with this ending, and I'm so happy for them. I only started watching this show about a month and a half ago, okay? So I don't really have the same perspective as you guys. If I would have known I could have got so many views from this shit, then I would have been on this back in 2017. But yeah, despite any gripes that I have with the finale, this is still a show that I'm going to remember very fondly. It reaches some of the highest peaks that I have ever seen in all of television, and I'm really grateful to have seen the journey of these characters from season 1 to now. Stranger Things is real lightning on a bottle, and no matter how I feel about the finale or some of the decisions that the Duffer Brothers made, nothing will change that. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Please do subscribe again if you're new. Please. And I'll see you all very soon for another review. Thank you so much. Goodbye.